Every man has witnessed the same brutal paradox at least once in his life. She spends weeks, sometimes months, saying she wants a kind man, a decent man, someone stable, respectful, emotionally available. And yet, when you observe her real choice, she returns to the man she remembers, the man who leaves a mark. It is almost always the opposite. She goes back to the colder one, the harder one, the more emotionally distant and unpredictable one. The nice man is dismissed. The cruel man is remembered. The gentle man is overlooked. The dangerous man is pursued, and this pattern is not rare. It is not accidental. It is not bad luck. It is recurrence. It is discomfort. It is reality. And this is where the truth begins. The truth most men sense but are never allowed to articulate out loud. This video does not exist to glorify toxicity. It does not exist to excuse bad behavior. It exists to expose with psychological and biological precision the invisible machinery behind this apparent preference. Why does the female brain react more intensely to men who appear harsh, emotionally cold, even cruel? Why does her instinct ignite toward men that common sense condemns? Why does desire awaken in silence for men her words publicly reject? Because there is a layer beneath morality, beneath logic, beneath social narratives, and that layer does not follow ethics. It follows instinct. Before we go any deeper, you need to understand something uncomfortable. Most men lose long before they speak a word. Their body betrays them first. Their voice carries hesitation. Their posture leaks need. Their breathing reveals urgency. Their eyes search for permission. Their rhythm accelerates as if they are afraid of silence, and long before she evaluates what they say, her nervous system has already classified them. Weak or solid, reactive or grounded, follower or center, and once that classification is made, no amount of kindness can reverse it. What you are about to understand is not a trick. It is not manipulation. It is an invisible psychological law, a silent dynamic that governs attraction whether people admit it or not. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Second paragraph CTA, integrated, non-generic. Be honest with yourself for a moment. How many times have you been replaced by a man who was objectively worse than you, colder than you, less respectful than you, yet somehow impossible for her to forget? Leave that number in the comments, because this mechanism only becomes clear when men stop lying to themselves. What follows may sting, but it will also free you, because the reason you were discarded for a man who treated her worse than you ever would is not an attack on your value. It is a mirror reflecting the ancestral engineering of female desire. When you finally understand this mechanism, you stop interpreting her choices as something personal, and you start positioning yourself in a way her instinct can recognize, not to become cruel, but to stop being invisible. Researchers in evolutionary psychology have been pointing to this dynamic for decades. David Buss, one of the most cited authorities on human mating strategies, demonstrated that women operate with different selection criteria depending on context. In certain environments, especially those involving short-term attraction, traits that appear negative on the surface, such as emotional coldness, strategic selfishness, extreme boldness, and unshakable self-priority, are often interpreted as signals of genetic strength, high social value, and dominance in competitive hierarchies. To the rational male mind, this sounds absurd. To the female instinct, it sounds coherent. Because desire does not ask, is he good? It asks, is he strong? And this is the brutal axis this video will dissect in front of you. There are 3 hidden layers that explain why women, in specific contexts, are drawn to men perceived as cruel. Not because cruelty itself is attractive, but because cruelty often masks something deeper. The first layer is emotional intensity. The second is instinctive readings of strength and dominance. The third is the psychological fascination with controlled danger. When these 3 layers overlap, the nice man loses, the intense man wins. And that is not a personal failure, it is biology. The nice man offers comfort. The intense man offers impact. And impact leaves a mark. What you are about to understand may hurt your pride, but it will also explain why you were replaced by someone inferior in every visible metric, except this one. And once you grasp it, You stop trying to win through softness and start positioning through presence. Layer 1. The female brain is addicted to intensity, not niceness. There is something the nice man almost never realizes. He gives too much, too fast. He offers stability before offering presence. He provides safety before creating impact. He tries to conquer through comfort, while the female nervous system responds to something entirely different. To many women, the overly nice man becomes emotionally predictable. And predictability kills attention. He creates no contrast, no tension, no internal alert state. And without that internal activation, attraction quietly fades. This is where so many men collapse. They believe women value peace above all else. They believe emotional calm is the ultimate currency. But the female nervous system is calibrated to respond to intensity, not passivity, not destructive chaos, emotional intensity. The man whose life is in motion, the man who is not always available, the man with limits, structure, and internal gravity, the man who does not dissolve himself to be chosen. The nice man tries to win through softness. The unforgettable man wins through contrast. And contrast always defeats monotony. Neuroscience helps explain this without romanticism. Behavioral studies consistently show that the brain releases more dopamine in response to uncertain rewards than guaranteed ones. When outcomes are not obvious, the brain becomes alert. It pays attention. It records memory. This is why so many women feel magnetically drawn to men who are emotionally cooler, more intense, less readable. Not because these men are present all the time, but because they oscillate. Presence, then absence, focus, then withdrawal, interest, then redirection back to themselves. This variation creates emotional peaks. The excessively nice man creates none. Which is why desire is rarely triggered by the phrase, "I will never hurt you." Desire awakens when her nervous system thinks, "I can't fully predict him." It is not real danger that attracts. It is the sensation that he is alive, not a scripted manual. Total predictability anesthetizes attraction. Controlled unpredictability combined with emotional solidity ignites it. And this is where men get confused. This is not about becoming cruel. It is about becoming less legible. Psychology has documented this repeatedly. Traits such as assertiveness, calibrated dominance, and self-prioritization are often perceived as sexually attractive in short-term contexts because they signal autonomy, strength, and decisiveness. The nice man tries to win by over-adapting. He bends too much, he yields too fast, he gives before being chosen. And in doing so, he communicates a dangerous message: "I will do anything to be selected." That message erodes respect. Respect emerges from self-priority. The solution is not to become a villain. The solution is to learn controlled intensity, to create moments of deep, focused presence, and then return to your life, your projects, your rhythm. Not replying instantly, not exposing your inner world on day one, not folding at the first sign of discomfort. Intensity is not loudness. It is not arrogance. It is not rudeness. Intensity is depth, density, direction. When a man understands this, he stops being emotional background noise and becomes memorable. Before we move to the next layer, the most misunderstood one, you need to hear something most men hear too late. The average man believes he understands female psychology because he memorized phrases, watched clips, and learned through painful trial and error. And that is exactly why he keeps confusing kindness with value, availability with presence, and stability with predictability. He does not realize that women choose through mechanisms operating beneath conscious awareness, mechanisms that obey biology, shadow, and impulse, not social narratives. If you want to understand female psychology at its core, not the sanitized version, not the socially approved version, you need a structured system that places you in control of these dynamics. That is what the seduction code is, not pickup lines, not tricks, behavioral engineering, body language, emotional reading. Neurodynamics of desire applied to real life. It is the difference between the man who reacts and the man who leads. If you want to stop observing female choices from the outside and start influencing them from within, you need to enter the code. The link is in the description and the pinned comment. Layer 2. Instinctive reading of strength and dominance. There is a silent mistake that destroys masculine perception in the eyes of a woman, and most men commit it while believing they are doing the right thing. They confuse kindness with strength. They believe that being endlessly understanding, flexible, tolerant, and always available signals emotional maturity. But to the female instinct, this often translates into something very different. It reads as lack of force, fear of conflict, anxiety about loss. The nice man believes he is being admirable. The woman, without consciously realizing it, reads him as easily moldable. Evolutionary psychology explains this distortion with brutal clarity. Across human history, women needed to identify men capable of protecting, maintaining status, and prevailing in social conflict. The male who could not impose boundaries disappeared. The male who could not compete was overlooked. That filter never turned off. It does not ask if you are polite. It asks if you are solid. It does not evaluate your intentions. It evaluates whether the world bends you or you bend the world. This is where the paradox sharpens. The man labeled as cruel is often not cruel at all. He simply prioritizes himself without apology. He says no, he does not beg. He does not negotiate his dignity to keep someone close. That is not aggression. That is internal authority. And the female nervous system reacts to that posture because it registers strength. Meanwhile, the excessively nice man fades. He believes limitless understanding will make him irreplaceable. It does not. It makes him optional. Social psychology has documented this pattern repeatedly. Men perceived as assertive, self-directed, and capable of handling social tension are consistently rated as more attractive, especially in short-term contexts. Cruelty is only a crude imitation of dominance. What actually attracts is firmness. What actually leaves an imprint is the man who does not fear displeasing, because instinct does not seek emotional babysitting. It seeks stability in chaos. This is why your task is not to harden your heart. Your task is to reclaim something most men have lost: masculine priority, non-negotiable projects, a structured routine, goals that do not pause for anyone's mood. The man who places his life first is perceived as strong, not selfish. His life moves forward with or without validation. That single shift completely changes how she reads him. The nice man waits. The strong man walks. And she follows the one who moves. When you do not collapse under tension, when you do not abandon your priorities to calm emotional storms, when you remain grounded while she tests your limits, you transmit the signal that actually matters. You are not cruel, you are structured, and structure always defeats fragility. That is what the female mind recognizes, even when the mouth denies it. Layer 3. The danger factor and the pleasure of controlled risk. There is a quiet phenomenon that confuses men who observe from the outside. How can some women repeatedly bond with men who are emotionally hard, distant, or unpredictable? This does not come from irrationality. It does not come from a love of suffering. It comes from an ancient psychological fantasy. The fantasy of taming the wolf. The intense, difficult, untamed man becomes more than a partner. He becomes a narrative, a challenge, a story her psyche engages with. While the nice man offers himself fully and immediately, the intense man reveals himself in layers, and it is within layers that fascination lives. This fascination has real psychological grounding. The human brain associates moderate risk with excitement. Controlled tension elevates adrenaline, dopamine, and focus. Some women, without realizing it, seek the alternation between safety and emotional edge because it produces memorable experiences. The nice man offers peace. The intense man offers contrast. One stabilizes. The other awakens. She does not want chaos, but she wants to feel alive. And masculine intensity, sometimes firm, sometimes hard, creates exactly that sensation. This is why many women never forget certain men, even years later, even when those men were objectively worse partners. Psychologists studying intense bonding show that the brain encodes emotionally extreme experiences more deeply. Relationships are no exception. This is not logic, it is imprinting. The man who is not easily accessible, who does not give everything at once, who preserves mystery, creates space for fantasy and projection, and the female brain stores that imprint at a visceral level. But here is the dividing line most men miss. There is a difference between strength and destruction. Deep seduction was never about harming. It was about intensity with direction, limits with presence, sexuality with consciousness. The attractive energy is not predatory. It is the man who carries shadow and code, firm, assertive, direct, intense, but not dishonorable. He does not break women. He challenges them. He does not manipulate. He positions. He does not fake cruelty. He expresses internal force. That combination is what creates real magnetism. Masculine intensity fused with self-control. A man who moves something inside her, activates parts of her psyche she rarely accesses, while remaining centered within himself. When you become that man, cruelty becomes unnecessary. All you need to do is stop being emotionally neutral, because the truth is brutal. Women do not desire pain, but they desire depth. They do not seek suffering, but they seek feeling. And without intensity, feeling disappears. Payoff, the real secret behind the title. Robert Greene once observed that human beings are magnetized not by what is safe, but by what carries risk, depth, and the promise of transformation. When you view male-female dynamics through that lens, everything becomes painfully clear. It is not cruelty that attracts, it is psychological impact, often disguised as cruelty. Women do not bond with men who offer comfort alone. Comfort without strength becomes boredom. Comfort without intensity becomes invisibility. Comfort without structure becomes forgettable. The three layers you just saw explain the paradox precisely. First, the female brain responds to intensity, not neutral kindness. The man who creates emotional tension creates memory. Second, instinct reads strength and dominance as markers of value. No matter the modern discourse, the evolutionary filter remains active, asking one question: can he handle life? Or does life handle him? Third, there is the danger factor, the fascination with the man who carries shadow, direction, and depth, the man who is not easily decoded, the man she feels but cannot fully capture. Here is the final unavoidable truth. As long as you insist on being only good, predictable, overly agreeable, and emotionally soft, you will be the man she respects, but does not choose. The man she calls perfect, but does not crave. The man she trusts, but cannot imagine surrendering to. Kindness without strength is weakness. Kindness without intensity is silence. Kindness without boundaries is self-sabotage. That is why so many good men lose to men who appear worse. Not because the worse men deserve to win, but because they deliver something the good men forgot to deliver: impact. If you want to stop being invisible and become the kind of man who marks, moves, and awakens visceral desire alongside silent admiration, you must master female psychology at the instinctive level. You must understand desire beneath words. You must know how to use body language, emotional pressure, direction, shadow, and presence. All grounded in science, real behavior, and human dynamics, not tricks. If you want to learn this in a structured, deep, and applicable way, you need the seduction code. There you learn how to merge strength, intensity, and ethics into a masculine identity that cannot be ignored. A man who does not need cruelty to be irresistible, because he commands what truly matters: presence, depth, internal power.